Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. This is Bob Krulish, and I want to talk to you a little bit about, well, I'm actually on one of the islands out here in the Pacific Northwest, and I hope you're enjoying the view from behind me. I want to talk to you a little bit about how to get your loved one to take their meds when they don't want to take them. And there may be a couple of reasons why they don't want to take them. One is the side effects are so awful that just make it so hard to take the meds. And if that's the case, then what they really need to do is to go talk to their doctor about the side effects. There are dozens of different psychotropic drugs that can be used, and as you probably know, they're usually used in combination. We call a combination of multiple drugs a cocktail. And so the cocktail is just not working for them, you know, with the side effects. So they can work with their doctor on that. Another reason why they might not want to be on their meds is because they don't feel like they're doing anything. And that is another reason to go speak to their doctor. Now, there are two other reasons that are very important and that are more troublesome, more trouble. One is the meds get them feeling very good, get them into remission, get them stable. And at that point, like we think about every other medical illness, we think we're cured. You know, the doctor gave me some cold medicine. A week later, I don't have the sniffles anymore. So why would I keep taking the cold medicine, right? I'm cured. But with bipolar disorder, there is no cure. You're never cured. But the problem is it makes it feel like you're cured. The meds actually do a good enough job to make you feel like you're cured, but you're not. But this is why a lot of people go off their meds. They just think there's no more reason for them. And why would I take a psychotropic drug that gives me side effects when I'm fine, when I'm doing well? So that's a big problem. And the illness, this is one of the only illnesses that I know of that will actually convince a person to get off the medication that's making them better. But it does. And so the second reason is they don't understand that they have an illness. And it's not denial. I know we use that term all the time, but really it's called anosognosia. And that's a big word for lack of insight. What basically it is that people just don't know that they have an illness. And it's part of their illness. Anosognosia is another symptom of their illness that doesn't let them be aware that they have an illness. They just cannot. Now, they can know that they broke a finger, but when it comes to their bipolar, they cannot know it. They just flat out can't know it. You can tell them 1,000,000,000 times, and they would not be able to know it. As a matter of fact, this happens sometimes with stroke patients, where stroke patients have some injury to their prefrontal lobe, and it creates this anosognostic kind of reaction. And what ends up happening with some stroke patients is they are literally paralyzed on the left-hand side, for example, but they still believe they can move their left arm. And the reason they believe that is because of the anosognosia. They cannot understand. They just flat out cannot understand that they've had a stroke and that they can't move their left arm. So even though they can't show the doctor they can move the left arm, they're going to have a reason why their left arm doesn't move at that time. So when your loved one is struggling with any of these things, the key is to try to help your loved one figure out what might be missing in their life. What is it that they're missing in their life that could be for whatever reason? And don't, especially if they have anosognosia, you don't want to harp on the fact that they have bipolar disorder. But if they understand that they do, you can use that phrase. But basically, most of us, when we're not well medicated, we are not getting everything we want in life. For example, we probably don't have a great relationship with others or a special loved one. We can't keep a job. We can't get a job. We can't hold on to our money. Things like that are just very frustrating to the individual. and they may or may not know why they can't get these things done, but they're frustrated. They can't finish college if that's what they want to do. They just can't get things done. And so the thing to have the conversation around is, what is it that you just can't get done? You know, and maybe you might say, maybe I can help you. I saw this guy do this video on Facebook, and this is what he said. So my story is that the thing I couldn't get done is I couldn't get my children back. They were basically taken away from me for a period of time when I only got to see them for very short visits while they were supervised. And for me, that was something I wanted back. That is something I wanted that I could not get. And I learned that if I take these meds, these bipolar meds, that I was able to get my family back, my children back. So I basically took an experiment on what the doctor said. The doctor said if I take these meds, I'll get better. And I assumed if I got better, I would be able to see my kids. So I took advantage of that experiment, and I took my meds. I even had to change them up quite a bit because they weren't working. But I was determined to at least play out this experiment to see if these meds with this diagnosis would help me get my kids back. Now, when I talk to others about this, I say, I don't care what your diagnosis is. And honestly, I don't care what my diagnosis is. I take the meds because they're my keep my kids close by meds. They're my kid meds. See, they're not my bipolar meds. So it doesn't matter to me how good I feel. That doesn't stop me from taking the meds. The only thing that would stop me from taking my meds is if I never wanted to see my kids again. And that's never going to happen. So it has to be a reason that is their own frustration about not being able to get something. And then share my story with them and just share that it may be worth just trying an experiment. Try for a month or two, because they do take about 2 months to really start working. And then after a month or 2 or 3, try to go get a job and then see how that works out this time with you on these meds. Call them whatever you want. They might be for your loved one. These are my I get and keep a job meds. These are my I get and keep a loving relationship with somebody meds. Or I finished school, or whatever it is. But the important part is it has to be from them. It cannot be your reasons. You have good reasons, we know that. But it can't be your reasons because it's not his or hers. And it's not going to stick. But if it is his or hers, and if they do the experiment, they take the medication, and it works, well, then that's going to be enough for them to want to keep their meds, take their meds, and stay on their meds. So that is the key, is to find out what it is that they want, and that share my story and have them just try this experiment, or whatever the doctor wants to call them. Who cares? Okay, so that's how I would deal with this. I've done this before with a lot of people that I've worked with, and it actually works. And people are better because of it. So I encourage you to give that a try. And I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been good to be with you live. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on our next Facebook Live. Until then, take good care. Bye now.